Listen to all that wonderful community this morning. We're so chatty and happy to be here. That's amazing. There are more seats. Come on. Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin Rame, and I am pleased to be joining the wonderful Thea Hadjipanis on the chancel this morning. Thea is a bright and beautiful light in our community with much wisdom to share, and I am honored to be with her today. We welcome you to this sanctuary and worship service, as well as those of you joining us online. We hope that in this congregation and sacred space, wherever it may be, you'll be strengthened by spiritual encouragement and find comfort from those who join with you in worship. As we enter worship, please take a moment to verify that your cell phones are muted if you are here in the sanctuary. Everybody good? To everyone familiar and everyone new to this congregation, you are welcomed with love. If you are in person, you are invited to stop by the welcome table in the vestibule if you would like to learn more about this congregation and Unitarian Universalism. If you are joining us online, please visit the newcomer page on our website at www.uucwnc.org to get acquainted with us. At this time, we invite any visitors or folks who have been away from us for a while to introduce or reintroduce yourselves if you would feel comfortable doing so. If you are on Zoom, you may drop a line in the chat box. Is there anyone on this side that is new or wants to introduce themselves? No? How about in the middle? Any new faces? And over on this side, I believe we have a spectacular guest here with us today, who we are all very grateful to see. Our dear Martha Fulda is joining us today. Hi, Avi. Oh.
That was her introduction. My introduction is, my name is Avi. I seem to show up wherever she is.
Well, we are so glad that you are joining us, Avi. Hi, Catherine.
Well, I'm Catherine. I know I've been coming for about 4 months now, but I've never stood up before. And then I bring my son Archimedes to the religious education process. You know, we're here to screaming.
Well, welcome, Catherine and Archimedes. We're so glad you're here. Thank you, everyone, for sharing worship with us this morning. In our weekly digest, please find announcements for some of the many activities happening in our congregation. You can find the digest at our website under the About/Newsletter tab. There's also a calendar of events posted on the wall on your way to Dobkin Hall, which is located in the back of the building. Please join us there after the service for coffee and conversation and all sorts of yummy goodies. So we have quite a few verbal announcements this morning, so bear with me. This week is your last opportunity to purchase one of the beautiful Low Country paintings by Joy Rademacher. These original pastel paintings inspired by local marsh scenes will come down on April 30th. You can still see them on the rear wall of the sanctuary. Remember that 30% of the proceeds go directly to our congregation. Thank you for your support. We also have an announcement about the CAM Museum, Love Your Neighbor. So they are offering a 20% off CAM membership for Unitarian Universalists of the congregation. So if you are not a member yet, the Thea Museum is a wonderful place to go. It's a wonderful place to learn, and so they are offering that discount. There will be coupons in Dobkin Hall after the service. Which order do we go in? So if you will draw your attention to the screens, we have a video announcement from Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson.
Hi Wilmington UUs, this is Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson with your UU Justice Ministry of North Carolina. I'm coming to you today with an invitation to join us next Thursday, May 2nd in Raleigh for the NC Budget and Tax Center's Our Dollars, Our Future Day of Advocacy. People from across North Carolina next week will be coming together as the legislative session kicks off to make sure that we voice our opinions on how our billions of dollars in tax money should be spent in this year's budget. Friends, in a moment where we are in a public education state of emergency, the General Assembly wants to, instead of considering teachers' raises and investments in public schools, this year the legislature wants to invest another $300 million in our private school vouchers program, which we know disproportionately benefits wealthy families. They are also trying to continue the process of completely eliminating corporate taxes in North Carolina, which would have an absolutely horrendous impact on so many of the public services that we rely on. These are our tax dollars, but of course they are leaving us out of the process. They have not invited us to the party. So friends, we are gonna crash the party. And all you have to do is get on the bus. Peter and your social justice leaders have made it easy for you. All you gotta do is get up a little early and get on that bus and join us for a powerful day of action, because we're going to come together to learn about taxes and discuss how they impact our lives. We're going to have a press conference, and most importantly, we are going to talk to our elected officials and let them know that we want those tax dollars to actually be invested in the people of North Carolina. Friends, this is the call of our faith. This is our moral mandate. So join us next week for this powerful day of action. We hope to see you there.
So if you have any questions, Michael and Peter. So Peter, with the big sign, has all the information on where the bus is, how to get there, and how that is going to go down next Thursday. So now Reverend Kelly has an announcement to share with us.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who get the emails from church, you'll know that this past week we got some pretty hard news that Mercedes and Nicole McLaughlin's baby, due in August, was born very, very early. She is considered a nano-micro preemie. And in an effort to show them love over these next months, I will be having this in the vestibule. It says contributions for Sophie Bella and her family. Right now it's got cards and blankets and hats. If you feel like you want to give some kind of financial contribution, they have said that gift cards to Amazon or grocery stores would be the most helpful right now. Also, I have this little box that says Sophie Bella Hearts. Many of y'all know that I like to crochet hearts. So these are hearts that I want you to take. They say take a heart, and whenever you look at it, send prayers and healing thoughts to Sophie Bella and her family. And at the bottom of it, if you want to dig, there are some pictures of Sophie Bella, of Mercedes, of Nicole and Mercedes together. Feel free to take those as well. I like something visual to focus on when I am holding someone in my thoughts, and I thought some of you might as well. On behalf of our congregation, I am the insulator of the family because, as you can imagine, they are bombarded with wonderful love, but in very stressful times, even a lot of love can be a lot to take in. So if you have cards or anything you want to pass along, I will deliver them on a weekly basis. I'm going there this afternoon. So these will be in the vestibule, and if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rev Kelly. Next up, we have Gary Barnes, who has an announcement for us regarding GLT.
Good morning. Good morning. Reverend Kelly reminds us why this family is so important when things get tough. What would we do without each other? Well, anyway, with our annual pledge drive nearing the finish line, I'm pleased to be able to report that we have raised $244,856 from a total of 98 households. This is 94% of our pledge month goal of $260,000. In a few days, members of the Generous Life team will be making courtesy phone calls to those households who have not yet pledged. Hopefully, this last push will put us over the top and let us achieve 100% of our goal. As always, we have pledge forms at the GLT table in the foyer, and you can easily pledge online at uucwnc.org. And for all of you who have already pledged, thank you.
Morning. A little unsolicited testimonial for the pledge drive. I'm Bill Singleton. I'm a 9-year attendee and 8-year member of the UUCWNC. I was the chair of the Campus Assessment Committee last year. The committee was formed to look at the building and grounds that had not been well maintained for a while. And we found quite a number of serious issues that had to be fixed with the church and the grounds. Luckily for us, Bruce and Sandy Murphy had donated money in 2020, specifically for things like renovation. And a year ago, January, you authorized the committee to take $100,000 of that money and spend it on renovations of the church. Last summer, you saw that we installed a new roof. The outside of the building was repaneled for the bottom 3 feet where it had dry rotted. The entire church outside was painted. New lights were installed inside and outside the building. Dobkin Hall was painted and got a new floor. Gates were installed at each end of the driveway, which has maintained the driveway from a lot of traffic and drive-throughs and kids doing donuts on Saturday nights. While all that was being done, we used your pledge money to expand the driveway into parking spaces by bush hogging about 20 feet on each side and putting in new marked spaces. So we went from about 21 spaces in the upper lot near Spirea to a total of 86 available now on the church grounds. The driveway was resurfaced with crushed concrete to fix the potholes that had gotten really bad. And also the annex was removed, if you noticed. Vertical French drains were dug near the handicap spots and by the sidewalk near the portico to prevent ponding. They need to be maintained a little bit more. We've learned vertical drains are tricky. And new signs, parking and handicap signs were added, and a new handicap space was created. All these things were done thanks to the generous donation of the Murphys and thanks to your pledges a year ago. And also through the dedication and time of the Campus Assessment Committee, which put in a lot of personal time and effort fixing things up, installing locks on doors and a lot of other things. But a measure of a successful organization is how well it maintains what it already has. So, for example, the driveway needs its first annual tune-up. You may have noticed some ponding and new potholes starting. More lights needed to be added where the annex used to be, in that parking area, to light the way after choir practice or other things in the evening. The restrooms need some work and some paint and some other stuff. And the RE program needs some outdoor equipment or play spaces for the kids. The money for these things can only come from your pledges. As Bishop George Bell once said, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. You're here today. You've shown up. And you on Zoom have shown up. Thank you. Great. Please make sure you show up for the pledge drive. That way you'll help the church all year long and keep it maintained to show we're a successful organization. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we covered them all. All right. And now let us take a moment to settle ourselves, to open our hearts and minds to what worship will bring to us this morning. At the sounding of the chimes, let our spirits enter into a different space, a space of worship, of life, of love, and that which we hold sacred. May we take this time to grow our souls. Please join me in the unison chalice lighting on the screens, not order of service, on the screens, as Dot Hodder lights our chalice. Yesterday, our distant ancestors gathered round a flame to share their stories and find comfort. Tomorrow, our descendants will gather round a flame, talking of a life we will never know. But today, it is we who gather here, around this flame, seeking, believing, and being together. Our opening hymn is number 318 in your gray hymnal. We would be one. The words are also on the screens. If the children who feel comfortable would like to come forward, we are going to read our story for all ages. All right. Do I need to do something with this? Cool. Hello? Not on. This is my daughter, Tilly, if you haven't met her. She also is very attached in beautiful ways. Okay, so I have a book for you today, and the pictures are up on the screen so you can see what we're talking about. This book is called The North Star by Peter H. Reynolds. A sweet breeze met the boy as he awoke to his journey. He traveled on all fours for quite some time, and he grew, and he paused. One day, he had the urge to stand, to walk. It made his journey easier. He could run too, but for the most part, he walked. He wasn't afraid of much. He wandered the fields, exploring, sometimes stopping, sometimes going happily in circles, sometimes dancing, sometimes napping. One day, the boy saw an oak leaf drift and land on the water. He wondered how the leaf managed to float, the way the stars seemed to float in the night sky. A spray of sand interrupted his thoughts. "Where are you going in such a hurry?" asked the boy. But the rabbit shot out of sight, disappearing onto a path the boy had never noticed before. The boy left the floating leaf and wandered toward the path. There, he saw a cat. The cat purred gently. "Where did the rabbit go in such a hurry?" the boy asked the cat. He was in a rush to start his journey. It's time for you to start your journey, too. "Oh, but I have been on a journey," the boy cried. "I've seen many wonderful things. Some I understand and some I don't, like how that leaf floats on the water." "Well, that's fascinating, but I'd hate for you to be late. You don't want to be left behind." "Behind? Who's ahead of me?" "You wouldn't believe how many. You know, you're not the only one on this journey. Plenty ahead of you, lots to follow." The boy began walking down the path. It stretched out far ahead of him. Signs kept pointing him along the way. Some parts of the journey were easy, and some were very difficult. Although he was following the well-worn path, he had a growing feeling that he was lost. The forest seemed to be growing thicker. The soil was wet and muddy, making every step a struggle. Clouds had rolled in overhead, and the darkness closed in around him. After many difficult miles, he could not take another step. He noticed an oak leaf drift from the sky. It sailed with ease. It swirled on a breeze and was carried deep into the forest. The leaf disappeared behind a grove of trees. He stepped off the path to follow it. The boy found the leaf floating on a pond in a peaceful clearing, like a delicate boat on a dreamy voyage. His thoughts were interrupted by a voice. "Oh, there you are. I was worried," said the cat. "Don't wander off like that. Now hurry, you're falling behind." So the boy ran and ran and ran, and as he ran, he noticed the forest getting darker and thicker. The muddy ground became covered with water. He could no longer see the path. He sloshed through the swamp until he came to a clearing in the forest. There he saw a bird. "You look lost," the bird said. "I don't think so. I'm not sure if I'm lost," the boy replied. "I really hadn't thought about it." "Hadn't thought about it," said the bird. "You must have some idea of where you're going, yes?" "Well, I've been following the path. It seems as if many people have taken it before me, and there have been many signs along the way, and a very helpful cat guided me back to the path when I started to wander." The crickets fell silent as the bird asked, "But where do you want to be going?" "I'm not sure," said the boy as he looked around at the dark, tangled swamp, "but I do know that this is not where I want to be. I guess I am lost." The bird said, "Ask yourself where it is you want to go, and then follow the signs you already know." "What signs? Where are they?" But the bird flew off into the cloudy night sky. The boy looked up into the sky, something he had not done in a very, very long time. He tried desperately to see where the bird had gone, and as he did, the clouds seemed to melt, and there above him was a star, a very bright star. The boy stared at the star and felt a pang in his heart, a tingling in his spine, a whisper in his ear. He could hear the star. The voice sounded so familiar. The boy began to walk toward the star. As he did, he noticed many other stars stretched out above him like a great big map. They had been there all along, waiting for him. He stopped and rested a moment, savoring his guiding stars. "What are you staring at?" croaked a voice behind him. "What is up there? What's so interesting?" The boy waited closer and answered, "Stars. I'm looking at the stars." "What stars?" asked the frog. "I see a dark sky and mist and low green clouds." "You don't see them?" the boy asked. "They're helping guide me out of the swamp. Would you like to come with me?" "No, thank you," the frog smiled. "I'm quite at home here in the bog. I swam here as a tadpole and grew up here, and here I will stay." The boy realized at that moment that everyone has a different journey, different signs, and different stars, their own constellations. The boy left the frog, who croaked a farewell. "Good luck on your journey." As he ventured beyond the swampy forest, the boy heard a cry. It was the rabbit, who had been in such a hurry earlier, looking tired and hungry. He was stranded on a limb in the middle of the rushing river. The boy waded out, but realized that the river was too deep. The rabbit was trapped. Then he saw an oak leaf drift by. It gave him an idea. The boy fashioned a boat out of swamp grass and twigs and rescued the rabbit. The boy smiled, having helped make the rabbit's journey easier. The boy looked up. He noticed that the star had become even brighter. He followed the star, and as he did, the muddy ground grew drier, then grassy, then soft and sandy, and finally he came to rest atop a dune. There below him was a beach and a boat. The boy looked out toward the horizon. The star glowed steadily, reminding him that he still had a long journey ahead. But it was his own journey, his very own wonderful journey. The beginning. And now let us sing our youth to their classes with "Go Now in Peace." Look at all those children. Some of you may not remember, but when we came back from the COVID pandemic, we had 3 children in RE. My daughter, Rep. Kelly's daughter, and our friend Catherine's daughter. So the fact that we have so many children, makes me tear up a little bit. And I'm so excited for our thriving community. It's amazing. So today we're going to go right into our candles of joy and sorrow. There are days we wish would never end because they are so wonderful. And there are days that cannot end too soon, for they are so hard. Sorrow is the mortar between our happiness. We take this time to recognize those good days and the hard ones. You are now invited to come up to the front and light a candle or place a shell or river stone in the fountain. If you are online, please feel free to enter your personal joys and concerns in the chat box. We know that a sorrow shared is a burden lightened, and a joy professed is happiness brightened. As our friends come forward, let us sing our compassion to them with hymn 123, Spirit of Life. light one final candle for all those joys and concerns not ready to be shared yet. Please join me in a time of prayer and meditation. O deep mystery of our lives, voice in our hearts and light in our minds, in the joyful freedom of our fellowship, we are here together as adventurers, called forth in spirit, people moving, yearning, questing, pushing the limits of our lives outwards to what is more loving and just, more beautiful and true. Here in this meeting house, this place made holy by the memories, the aspirations, the purposes and ideals of those before us, we would be inspired by their example. These were people of vision. These were people of spirit. We here today are also people of spirit. We too are struck in awe before the great mystery of the cosmos. We too are powerfully moved by a deep concern for our world and our care for one another. The Spirit moves also in us as a free religious community joined in a common covenant of aspiration, commitment, and hope. May ours be a faith that is more than just beautiful words and high ideals. May ours be a faith of vitality and commitment, a faith that burns in our hearts and blazes in our minds. May ours be a faith that shines to the world as the light of deeds and the witness of actions. O source and spirit of our lives, may we respond boldly to your call to adventure, for justice, for love, and for joy. Amen and blessed be.
This homily is a reprise of something that I gave about 20 months ago. Reverend Kathy was sitting right about where Kathy Campo is sitting. She was 3 weeks ahead of her beginning with us at the congregation. I've refashioned it for today. I was a retail pharmacist for 31 years. It was a job that I loved, that I respected, that some days just scared the heck out of me. So much responsibility, so many drug interactions, so many patients to take care of, state and federal laws to follow, chain pharmacy, corporate hoops to jump through, staffing issues, just so much. You wouldn't know it from looking at the pharmacy from the aisles in the store. It appears to be a fortress of calm, dressed in soothing color, crisp, clean lines, easy customer interactions, and minimal extraneous activity. Walk through the door of the pharmacy yourself to work, and it might be a completely different story. Maybe the computers or the phones aren't working. The order was delayed halfway across the state because it got iced in at a warehouse. Your lead tech just called in sick. One key variable gone, and that could make for a bad work day. As tumultuous and challenging as those days got, what our customers saw was that placid and clinical fortress wall with the pretty vitamin bottles and OTC medications on the front. Your experience of my day was completely different from my experience of that same day. And there were some aspects of my job that I was not as good at as my colleagues. Try as I might, I was not as organized and efficient at my paperwork as a number of my pharmacist friends were. Lots of us have had jobs like this. Doctors, contractors, lawyers, teachers, restaurateurs, nurses, housekeeping services, you name it. Many of us have gone through things in our work lives that others might find surprising and much harder than imagined. Just think if there were those iconic scrolling message signs that they have on the buildings in places like New York City, only human-sized, like affixed to the backs of people that you see at the grocery store and the bank, reading something like, "This week I helped my 13-year-old sexually abused student find help for an out-of-state abortion." Or, "Rescued a small child from a burning home last night, performed CPR for a few minutes before EMTs arrived. Just received word he didn't make it." Maybe if we could more fully see the complexity of each other's lives, we could gain a new appreciation for all the decisions and variables our friends and neighbors need to weigh to get through their days. I've shared all of that with you so I can share this in its light. In the past 2 years, we've been through the process of calling a new minister to lead this congregation. We've been through writing and talking about and rediscovering what we hold most dear and what we wish to amplify, explore, and articulate about this family of our hearts. As we get ready to welcome Alyssa in a couple of weeks, I'd like to share with you an informal survey I made of a number of minister friends I conducted a couple of years ago, back for the original version of this homily. This is in the name of developing a fuller understanding of what it is to be a minister. Rather than attempt the arduous and questionable task of installing those neon sign thingies on the backs of my minister friends, I thought I'd just go ahead and ask them. It's easier, cheaper, less pain, doesn't risk injury to people I love, it's just better. So simply asked, and I am going to share some of their answers with you this morning. The questions I asked my friends were, how did you choose to become a leader of a faith community or minister? What did you find most satisfying? What was most challenging? And what are one or two pearls of wisdom to share about your time as a faith leader? Each of my responding ministers came to their decision to pursue ministry, if not in their youth, then at least in their young adulthood. One received his calling through struggling with the question of whether or not to go into ministry, not being able to sleep, praying that if he could just get some good sleep, then he'd say yes, and falling asleep for 24 hours. Another had not one but two dreams directing him to follow his heart and mind into ministry, and he did. To a person, my friends said that one of the most satisfying aspects of their ministry was the relationships they had with their congregations and members of the wider communities they served. Whether it was counseling a church member or on a challenge in their lives or working on a community project to lift up people in need, these were things that fed my friends' spirits the most. Preaching came in a close second. Preaching is what I call purty talking. Don't I love me some purty talking? I've called preaching that since the first time some friends said that I did this Sunday morning speaking thing well enough that I should consider going into ministry myself to make it official. As this has been suggested a number of times over the years, what I am more sure of now than ever before is that being a good minister is more than just pretty talking, which, by the way, I love to do. There are so many wise and wonderful voices in this congregation that on behalf of the worship team, which I will be getting back to in a few months, thank you, Dan. Dan Wheat Rivers has decided to be my co-chair. How swell is that? I'd like to invite you to see us if you'd like to offer your thoughts for a Sunday service sometime down the road. The most varied of answers came from, what did you find most challenging? The common thematic thread seemed to be change. Fear of change on the part of congregation members when the church was at a crossroads, preaching and teaching at what one minister called the speed of life. Saying goodbye to friends and community members through funeral and memorial services. The small percentage of congregation members whose personal concerns took a good bit of energy and time to address during a minister's work day. Excuse me. I think dealing with the challenges would have been what upended any attempts I might have made at ministry. I believe this is where the real test of one's faith comes in. And I am thankful for all of my preacher and rabbi friends' efforts in healing a broken world with their kindness and spiritual strength. I'd also like to thank them for making this homily and the previous sermon possible with their generosity of time and shared experiences. As for number 4, the Pearls of Wisdom question, I was moved by the consistency of this answer. The answer, though worded a bit differently from each respondent, was listening. Or, as my dear friend of 48 years put it, listen, listen, listen. Be very slow to offer an opinion until you have studied a given situation from every angle possible and you have sought guidance. Do not let yourself become invested in an outcome as much as the process. If you do that, the outcome will take care of itself, or rather, God will handle the details. I'd say that's excellent advice for any would-be ministers out there hearing this sermon, for any congregation members wondering about our new minister, and for anybody aspiring to be a better human being. And that ends my homily for the morning. Namaste. Thank you. Our next piece of activity for the day is for me to invite up members of the search team who will be answering questions from our Q&A, and to recognize the rest of our search team members, Sarah Jarvis, who's right there in the back, and Bob Herudian, who is right there. Yes, there he is. And on Zoom, we have Cornelia Maxstad and Stephen Axtell. So we asked over the last couple of weeks if you had any questions for the search team, if you could put them in the little question box that was out there, or if you could email them to Dan. So now we're going to have those questions and the answers to them. Who decided to do number 1?
Well, Elizabeth's going to introduce some.
Okay. Excellent. Very good. She's handling it.
Okay, so one of our first tasks as a search team was to hold about 15 special interest discussions, listening sessions, and a congregational survey. So with our survey, I think we got about 107 responses, which is great. And we were, our job here, of course, was to hear from you what was important to you. This bar chart is from question 27, where we asked, what are the top 2 minister roles that are of value to you? And so you'll see here that Sunday services and pastoral care were the top 2 roles that this congregation felt were the most important. Imagining the future is at 51%, so just over half of you felt that imagining our future together is another priority. We dove further into these roles a little bit later in the survey, asking, do you feel these roles are collaborative, or do you feel that they are primarily the congregation's responsibility or primarily the minister's responsibility? And 11 of those 15 roles we all agreed were collaborative. So we were really looking for a collaborative minister. So in case the survey is a little bit, in the back of your mind, we did this in November, a reminder, those roles were that we plan to do collaboratively. Having leadership in the larger community, maybe missing a word there, leadership development, pastoral care and assistance, vision work, so envisioning our future, supporting families and multi-generational members here, governing the congregation, teaching classes, encouraging social justice, managing the physical plant, and fostering growth. So we have about a 3-page summary that we're going to print up and put in Dobkin Hall for you all to view some more information, but I wanted to just give you a brief idea of how we started our search, which was understanding what it is we are looking for from you. So now we'll do a few Q&A. Okay, well that's kind of what I just said. Yeah.
Where are we at?
I think just we could do that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is also from the UUA Transition Handbook. So this is directly from the UUA mothership, if you will. And this is about when it comes May 19th, what exactly are we voting on in our special congregational meeting? So what we are not voting on is whether individuals think they would have chosen the candidate who was identified by the search committee on their own, given what they know about the congregation. We're not voting on whether individuals think, based on 2 sermons, if every sermon the candidate preaches will or will not perfectly to the hearts and minds of every single member, will not speak perfectly, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading from over here. Oh, thank you. And we are not voting on whether there might be a better match out there somewhere. We are not voting about whether the candidate is a perfect minister. As you heard from Thea, ministers come with all different skills in worship arts, pastoral care, administrative and organizational work, and social witness presence. No minister will have a high level of skill or interest in all of those elements of ministry, and the shared ministry of the congregation will and should shift with the skills and interests of the new minister. And we are not voting on what is best for a particular individual within the congregation. So what are we voting on? Okay, so we are voting on whether you affirm the comprehensive, inclusive, collaborative, transparent process which was used to find the candidate. We're voting on whether the congregation was heard by the search committee, whether the congregation was represented accurately by the search committee, whether you believe the search committee saw the gifts of ministry which the congregation needs in the candidate, whether the congregation is willing to move into a shared ministry partnership with the candidate whom the search committee has identified as a good match for the congregation's need. And of course, what we're voting on is what is best for the whole congregation. So now perhaps we have a few questions. First one being, I know the search committee found us an amazing candidate of all her strengths. What of her qualifications stood out most to you? Should I start with this? Or? Okay, so I found her well-roundedness the highest qualification. As we've kind of discussed today, ministry is not just preaching, but Alyssa was, she was interested in building relationships with each of us. She was a social justice leader in her community and in her congregation. She has had so many difficult conversations as a mediator and an HR lawyer. I think being able to show up in difficult conversations with grace and love is something that I would love. I look forward to learning from. I'll let you go.
We could all just come tumbling up here to the microphone. Yeah, I think one of the things that struck me most about Alyssa was her open-heartedness and her ability to articulate what was the most fascinating to her about ministry, but also what her ideas are for the future, and how once we got to talking to her during our more involved interview process, how completely forthcoming she was with some really terrific ideas. So.
And for me, everybody who applies and is in the UUA minister portal is qualified on a basic level. So we kind of, skip past those basic qualifications. And her connection, ability to connect, her intelligence and quick research. She had researched us, she had researched Wilmington. Those qualifications that came from her job as a lawyer and the mediating and all of the things that she's had to do in addition to her ministry training really spoke to us and really touched us, that she connected with us all. We all had meaningful conversations one-on-one. So just her ability to connect really pushed us. So I was going to let you.
Yeah, right, of course. Recusal is good. Reverend Kelly has many strengths. Her main responsibility will be RE. How does the settled minister view her role as assistant minister? We will correct that in just a second. How will their roles complement each other? For example, PCP and caring committees. Another strength of Reverend Kelly's. Well, first of all, a little clarification. Reverend Kelly is not an assistant minister. She is an associate minister. She has a couple of roles in the congregation that will hopefully continue after Reverend Alyssa comes in, and that would include certainly RE. Her strengths with chaplaincy and her work with hospice will certainly come in very handy with bringing Alyssa up to speed on any she has less experience with that than Kelly does. As far as how they will complement each other, I don't want to speak too much for Kelly, but when I first met Alyssa, they felt like sisters from another mister. I mean, it was a sense of, again, the open-heartedness, the communication, the just charming, gentle, what do we have, what does the world have for me today kind of thing, and an ability to communicate. So I think, I'm not sure, but I think they're going to get along famously. So but that would really be up to you and Alyssa. I don't want to, put any pressure on you. So, but I hope that answers the question. So that's that question. Anybody, do you want to say anything else? I know you don't. You understand, of course, that, the topic of our conversation.
I saw my name up there and I was like, oh God, I'm in the question. So my role as associate minister has 3 hats. One is religious education, which right now is focused on the kiddos, but hopefully over time will expand to be religious education opportunities for adults as well. Another hat is the pastoral care. I know it's a tricky name, but the PCP stands for the Pastoral Care Partners Group and our caring team, and I will continue to work with them as well. And then the third hat is with social justice and community outreach. So when I was hired as the associate minister, those are the 3 hats that I wear and will hopefully continue to wear. And Thea is correct. I have been in touch with Alyssa since they gave me the go-ahead to, and it has been natural and easy and hilarious, and she's got a quick wit and a good sense of humor that I think will fit well here, and I'm really excited.
Who's up next?
All right, so what made Alyssa Lee the best candidate out of everyone that you interviewed? This goes back somewhat to qualifications question, but again, she fits us. She seemed like she would be a really good part of this community, just a continuation of the way we feel and the way we act. We thought that overall, she belongs here. When we met with her, starting looking at her ministerial record through her visit here, we just felt like this was the right place for her to be.
Yes, I agree. Our conversations were, we covered so much ground and we were so enthusiastic with each other, and she really has a lot to offer in terms of her intuition and her ideas, and I'm really excited about her. Learning lessons?
Sure. What learning lessons will you share with the next search committee? First off, y'all hold your horses for 10 to 12 years. I don't want to see your faces until 10 to 12 years from now. But secondly, I wrote something down when Elizabeth and I were discussing this the other day, and hopefully I've got it somewhere in the email. Oh, futures, yeah. the idea that each member would be able to trust each other's lived experience and talents. It was such an incredible honor to work with these people. I mean, I think the next question is about what's your biggest challenge as a team member? My biggest challenge was bringing my A game to make sure that I kept up with these folks, all of them, because it was just such incredible to work with all of them. What I found was comforting and impressive is that each of us brought something to the process that we were more experienced in or more comfortable doing, and that we self-selected for things that needed to be done and could manage on behalf of the whole team and the whole process. So.
Call Reverend Kathy.
Yeah.
No, the interim minister is such a huge guide for this. I know we all experienced Reverend Kathy as a great minister, and she was, but she was even better than that as a guide to the search committee. Her knowledge and everything. So when we go through this process again in 10 to 12 years, yeah, 20, there you go. The interim minister is a key part of that. So to do that and to trust each other and communication, we just, as a committee, communicated well together.
Maybe just the last thought on that was to really get to know each other quickly, because the more we share our life with each other, the more easily we're able to share the workload together, because life inevitably happens over a year and a half or two. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, Sarah.
Call out to the board.
Great.
You've created an amazing process of nominations, self-nominations, other nominations, and whatever discernment must have been challenging. And they chose people who, one member said, played well with others. And so they put together a team of people who represented different parts of the congregation in terms of age and gender, experience in the church, and were known to have been workers at various levels, and were people who knew how to cooperate, come to consensus, work together, and not always have to win.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. What was the hardest part of serving on the committee? Honestly, for me, it was deciding to do it or not, because it was such a big lift, it seemed like, from the outset, and I'm really glad that I did. And possibly the hardest thing will be letting go. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, letting go will definitely be hard, not being in control of that. I think for me, the hardest thing was probably not sharing information as it was available, especially in my household. But in general, having confidential information for a year and a half is a long time to hold on to that. And especially as things get excited and you get excited about people and you feel that energy and connection, you really want to start sharing. And so I think that was probably the hardest part.
Just a couple things before we conclude with the service today. Number one is the mention that I made a couple weeks ago about the 90+%. The idea when we vote is to be 90+% in the yes category for her. And the reason for that is, and many ministers prefer more like 95, and if you need a point of reference, Reverend Cheryl, when she came in, was a unanimous vote. What they're looking for is a commitment on the part of this body, this person called UUCWNC, a commitment from them that, yes, we welcome you wholeheartedly. If you've ever been in a relationship with somebody who's only 80% in, you know, that can be a bit disappointing. So what you're looking at for the 95% is we are looking for a solid yes vote on, yes, we want you to be here with us. That's what that that vote on the 19th will encompass. And also, there will be a poster in the lobby of all of the things that are going to be happening from May 12th through May 19th, her candidating week. We will have a poster up probably midday on Wednesday, May 1st, to let you guys know what's going on. There will be plenty of opportunities for meet and greets and lunches and committee, different committees meeting with her. And of course, the 2 sermons on the 12th and the 19th. And I think that is it for what I have to say. Yep, okay, yeah. Okay, and now I'm going to, yes, go away and leave Robin with her discombobulated script here.
It's okay, I dropped it on the way in, so we're good. All right, our closing hymn today is 1028. It's in the teal hymnal, or...
It's coming up after the hymn.
It comes after the hymn. Okay. I promise we're doing it. I know, closing hymn, we still have things to do. It's very confusing. The words are also on the screen. Let's go. Thanks to the dedication and hard work of our Share the Plate team, this week's Share the Plate goes to 100 Black Men of Coastal North Carolina. They are a group of African American men dedicated to passing on the knowledge of how to succeed. Their mission is to empower and uplift a new generation of youth in grades 8 through 12, especially African American males. The program is based on the belief that what they see is what they'll be. The Success Academy focuses on 4 pillars: mentorship, education, economic empowerment, and health and wellness. With a strong network of successful Black men serving as mentors, the organization provides its young participants with foundational knowledge and life skills in these important areas. Please give generously to this program that works tirelessly to address social and economic disparity and promotes leadership and character development. Their impactful work continues to make a difference in the lives of many. If you are contributing by check, please put STP in the memo field. You can also text your donation to 813-513-0597 or donate directly from our website under the Donate tab. Will the ushers please come forward to take the collection?
And before we have our closing words, Robin and I would like to thank everybody who was involved in the service, from the greeters to our welcome table, folks in hospitality, our caring committee people, our room verger, Fran, Zoom vergers, everybody back there in the closet, woohoo! Ron and Ed, music, yeah. I told Andrew when I found out that he was going to be playing the music today, I could just get up here and do blah, 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 and him, and it would be a great service. So, and of course, thank you to Robin Rame for being our worship associate. Our closing words are from the Holy Christian Bible, book of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 7 and 8. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. They who seek find. And to they who knock, the door will be opened.
Please join us. We extinguish the chalice with the words on the screens. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, as is our custom, please rise and join hands with your neighbors as we sing our shalom.
Yeah.